Spoilers for Justice League lie ahead, as the critically and commercially underwhelming heads into its second weekend. We're taking a look at the biggest plot holes we spotted in the Zack Snyder-Joss Whedon collaboration. Since the film is product of two directors, perhaps it was inevitable that it would arrive with its fair share of inconsistencies. As many of you know, Snyder stepped down midway through post-production due to a personal tragedy, and Whedon was called upon to step in and replace him at the helm. An extensive amount of reshoots were then ordered that completely reshaped the film, and the sweeping changes themselves are actually responsible for several of its logical gaps. Whether or not the well-documented reshoots actually improved the film is a question fans may be asking for years to come. Calls for a Zack Snyder cut of the film will almost certainly fall on deaf ears. Its release would completely undermine the version that hit theaters while undercutting any notion of a united front, to say nothing of the costs required to finish the effects on Snyder's cut. Still, there's strong evidence to suggest that Snyder's version would at least partially explain most of the plot holes we've detailed below. Related petition for Zack Snyder cut of Justice League hits 100k signatures. Read on to see if you can explain any of the plot holes we noticed in, or if you caught any other biggies that we missed. 5. That bizarre opening scene. Well, the first scene served as the world's introduction to the horrifying monstrosity that was CGI Henry Cavill, but the true opening salvo comes in a sequence set on the rooftops of Gotham City. In it, a nameless burglar played by Holt McCallany, who just broke out in Netflix's and didn't need to do this, crosses paths with Ben Affleck's Batman as he exits a home after robbing it. We learn that the Dark Knight intends to use this small-time thief as bait in order to trap a scout parademon, as the alien foot soldiers are apparently attracted to fear. Things seem to go according to plan, though the parademon explodes after being captured, and the caped crusader is left empty-handed. This is where things get murky. The green mess of goo the parademon leaves behind inexplicably forms the shape of 3 boxes, which is definitely odd, but the real question marks arise out of Batman's behavior post-spontaneous combustion. After a brief exchange with the thief, the world's greatest detective radios home to Alfred to ensure that his trusty butler saw what just went down. Except he refers to Alfred by name of well within earshot of a common criminal. For a guy that's usually all about keeping his identity a secret, this is a pretty reckless move. Related, Justice League's opening scene was originally more comedic to cap it off. The Dark Knight then dives off the rooftop without apprehending the criminal or alerting the authorities that an armed man is up there burglarizing homes. He even leaves him his gun. Sure, the Bat's got bigger fish to fry, and above all else, this scene was really meant to introduce story elements that would come into play later on. The 3 boxes, the sound that the parademons don't like, and the fact that they're attracted by fear. But in the end, Batman's distinctly un-Batman-like behavior overshadows it all. 4. The invasion timing makes very little sense. The timing of Steppenwolf feels a bit off from an outside perspective, but an attempt to rationalize it is made at one point. According to the villain himself, he understands why the Mother Boxes waited until now to summon him, saying, "The decision to strike comes as a direct result of the worldwide sorrow and fear felt in the aftermath of Superman's death. The most powerful defender of Earth has been lost, making it an ideal time to invade." Related, what was Steppenwolf's plan? There's a few problems with this, not the least of which being that, just prior to his death at the hands of Doomsday, Supes wasn't exactly the most popular being on the planet. Would the entire planet really be upset over his passing, terrified that his death would leave the Earth vulnerable to attack, that the collective fear of the world would awaken the Mother Boxes in a way that something like, say, the previous 2 world wars hadn't done? You'd think that one of the 2 planet-wide conflicts Earth had endured in the century prior would have caused more global sorrow than the death of a single, widely divisive individual. Of course, the answer to any and all invasion timing questions is the same: there wasn't a group of superheroes then, and therefore there wasn't a potential movie in universe. However, those damn Mother Boxes sure did call back Steppenwolf at a terribly inopportune time. Page 212.